intelligent to me. And then
Mm.
I tell you what, you go to ChatGPT. Where do you live?
I live in Manchester, in England.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you go to ChatGPT and you say, should Americans teach the history of slavery to its young people? And you type that question in, and it's going to give you 5 or 6 reasons why it's important to teach the history of slavery. Now, when it gives you those very good reasons, you say to yourself, how the hell did it come up with those 5 cogent reasons just looking at the mathematical frequency of syllables following each other? And I'm telling you, I don't know how. I don't know how, but I'm telling you that ChatGPT, if you ask it that question, it'll give you a more intelligent answer than 99.9% of the
Mm,
politicians in America.
Because I think I read it once that it was smarter than most humans. That's why I think I spent a lot of hours on
I, I think
ChatGPT
it's
on
smarter
other
than
day.
every human, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also because AI, because I tried diving into machine learning courses on Coursera. There's like guys teaching it, and they're saying like it can do what's called hallucinations, which are given answers that seem real but aren't actually real. So it's not infallible, but it's pretty useful,
Yeah,
I
but
think. Yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
again, I'm telling you, you're thinking too much. So that's like saying, oh yeah,
Mm.
AI can have hallucinations and give you inaccurate answers. Well, I hate to tell you, pal, but so can
Yeah.
humans, right? So
Yeah.
if you went
Yeah.
to a Republican politician in America and asked them, should I take
Mm.
Clorox to cure my COVID?
Yeah.
The Republican politicians would say, yeah, you should. Clorox is going to fix your COVID. Don't worry. You don't need to get vaccinated.
Mm.
Okay, well, I mean, that's pretty stupid and that's hallucination. You don't say, well, I'm going to stop
Mm.
listening to humans. So what's the
Yeah.
difference? I'm not saying you
Mm.
should believe anything from everything, including people, but you
Mm.
cannot say that, oh, AI had some hallucinations. I don't trust AI. I'm going to stick to
Yeah.
my human sources. I'm going to ask Donald Trump, how should I treat my COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, he says take Clorox. Oh, I'll take Clorox.
Mm.
Go ahead, drink some Clorox.
Yeah, it is pretty useful. And also, guess I guess I saw partially I saw what you did you do venture capital for a very long time? Like
I
do
did.
you
I
recommend
did.
do you recommend that industry? Because I feel like everyone when I look at their profile, they're like very academically smart, like Oxford, Cambridge, that sort of background. And I went to someone called LSE for economics, but I sort of have the background, but I don't have the experience. Like, would you recommend this sort of industry? Like,
Nope. I do
no?
not recommend venture capital at all.
Oh,
I think that venture capital, if you become a venture capitalist, it should be
mm,
at the very end of your life. It should be
mm,
just before you die, actually.
mm,
I think that venture capital is to be a good venture capital. And by that, I mean that you really help your portfolio companies. You have to have a very deep and broad set of experiences so
mm,
that this is how companies work. These are the mistakes you make. This is how to prevent the mistakes you make. So
mm,
if you are young and you haven't really worked in any other industry, maybe you were a consultant for Accenture or McKinsey, and then
mm,
you work for, I don't know, Goldman Sachs, and now you say, okay, I want to be a venture capitalist
mm,
because they have Gulf streams and
mm.
everybody sucks up to them and everybody thinks venture capital is
Yeah,
cool, and I
yeah.
want to make this $1.5 million base salary with
Mm,
potential to make 50 million a year. I want to be a venture capitalist. And I want to take all my knowledge that I accumulated from McKinsey and Accenture and Goldman
mm.
Sachs. You don't know shit
Yeah.
about how the world really works.
Because I saw a classmate of mine, he's in venture capital at Sequoia, but like I don't know how the guy got in. Like he's only 1 year older than me, but that's why I'm asking. And then
Yeah,
also
but you
I
know what?
saw that,
I mean,
yeah,
right now he's carrying around some partner's bags and he's sucking up to that partner.
mm,
And, that partner who probably has never run a company is like giving his opinions about, oh, this is how you make this work. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. And your friend is picking all that up. And then if he sticks in that business, having never run anything, pretty soon he's going to be telling
mm,
entrepreneurs like you, oh, this is how you create a company. And if you were to
mm,
ask him, well, how do you know how to create a company? You say, I'm a venture
mm.
capitalist, and I went to
Uh,
Oxford and I worked for McKinsey and I went for
uh,
Sequoia. But have you actually run a company? Have you
mm.
fired somebody? Have you hired somebody? Have you actually shipped the product? Or all you've been doing is like flying around in your private jet, sucking up? I mean, you really
So
not you know how I feel.
so you're saying it's like it's I don't really fully understand. It's sort of like a form of consulting by students who have good grades, right? That's basically. I'm not saying that's the entire industry, but yeah, I think I get a gist of what you're saying. Yeah,
I
yeah.
basically, I mean, most of them have finance backgrounds, and a
Hmm.
finance background is not the same as an operational background.
Hmm. It's interesting because also because I listen to well like there's some guy called Naval and he always talks about like was it like to get rich you either do media or coding. Would you recommend software engineering then? Like
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
you know, it, you I you
Hmm.
cannot recommend a career
Hmm.
for people based
Hmm.
on how much money you'll make. I mean, it takes a
Hmm.
lot of other things. Like, are you interested? Like, if you're not interested in being a programmer, I'm not going to tell you to be a programmer.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, if you're interested in programming, I'm not going to tell you to be a marketer. So
Hmm.
it's a cross section of what you like to do, what you're good at doing, and what you can make money doing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the same as, oh, I should go into software engineering because
Hmm.
seems like everybody makes money in that business.
Hmm. Yeah, that's because I'm teaching myself coding, but it's not like I wake up and I just want to stare at the code all day. But like I'm still trying. But um, I guess like because people say money is not happiness, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. Basically, to be honest, like listening to podcasts doesn't really make me that like it feels like I'm doing something, but I'm not actually like progressing that much. But anyway, um,
Well,
I
how
guess
old are you?
I'm 28.
Well, pal,
Yeah,
you got 60 more years to figure it out. So, you know
yeah.
what? Nobody knows what they're doing at 28. I
Mm,
think the first 40 years of your life, you're still learning. In the
mm,
second 40 years of your life, you're just reaping, you're not sowing anymore. So,
mm,
so
mm.
chillax, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
are you married?
No, no, no.
Do you want to get
Yeah,
married?
yeah. I want to get married, but also
Oh,
there's like trying to find a partner and like how do you
okay,
even
okay.
yeah.
So I think there's a lot of similarity between, marriage and your perfect career. Like,
Mm,
so, do you just decide one day, I'm going to get married? So, God, I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet a woman. I'm going to marry her. Like, I have a schedule. I got to get on this schedule. I got to get
mm,
married.
yeah.
No, you sample a lot and you date around. And then someday you hope you meet that perfect person for you. But,
Mm,
it, you cannot force some things. You got to sample. You got to pay the price.
mm.
So chillax.
Yeah, because people say that you gotta try. What was that? I heard Gary V say like you gotta try a lot of different things to find out what you
Yeah.
like, and yeah, it's like. But then, so you don't recommend like I gotta get married by 30, like some kind of job by 30. That's not like unnecessary pressure on yourself, right? Like,
I
yeah.
not I don't I think that's crazy because
Mm,
I think you should get married when you meet the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Even that
mm,
is only 50-50 probability. So I don't
mm.
know how you set a schedule for that. Now, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I'm not saying you
Mm,
shouldn't have goals. Everybody should
mm,
have goals, but there's some things you just cannot put a timeline to. So, do a lot of sampling, whether it's
mm,
dating or careers, and then
mm,
it's very, as Steve Jobs said in his not his podcast, as Steve Jobs said in his commencement address,
mm,
you can only connect the dots looking backwards. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. So,
mm,
um,
mm.
I think,
Yeah.
I can say this because I'm Asian and you're Asian. I think it's because we're
Yeah.
Asian. We got this thing
Yeah.
that, we got to like tiger moms and tiger
Yeah.
dads, and they got
It's
to get
also
it all
because
figured out.
my parents are putting pressure on getting married. Like I'm just sitting at home making social media because I was trying to be an influencer, but I found it extremely hard. So like now I'm looking, should I do coding? Should I get into like venture capital? Like, because maybe because I was pretty smart academically, but I'm not the smartest. So it's one of those things
You know
where
what? I let me
yeah.
tell you something. You don't have to be the smartest to be the most successful. You don't have to be the
Mm,
smartest to be the
mm,
happiest either. You just have
mm,
to find something you like to do and you're good at. I mean, that,
mm,
listen, I mean, my parents wanted me to go to law school, right? So I went to law school after college and I quit after 2 weeks. And
mm,
that was like a major shock to the system. I had never quit anything in my life before. And, I'm like,
yeah.
2,000 years of my family worked to get me into law school and I quit after 2 weeks. I mean, what kind of a loser am I? And
Mm,
now I look back and, that happened when I was, I don't know, 22 or something. And now I'm 70 and I look back, I say, thank God I quit law school. I mean,
mm,
so
yeah.
you never know. I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you're just like sitting around smoking marijuana all day. Okay, that's
Mm,
one thing, but just stay in the game, man. Just stay in the game.
yeah. Just try a lot of different things. Um, I guess.
You probably don't want my parenting advice.
Or is your parent? I don't have kids though, but do you want to share that? Because I don't know what else that. Yeah, yeah. Do you have parenting advice? I mean, it's
No, no,
mostly. I
I'm
think it's most.
giving you parenting advice.
You're giving me parent. Okay, fair enough. Um, yeah, because I'm still confused. Like, because I would have thought, because as a kid, you might have think, oh, 25 is people get married, but I'm like 28 now. I'm still like just as confused. Anyway,
You know
but
what? I mean, people who got married at 25, God bless them. I mean,
hmm,
you know, I mean, if all your friends got married at 25 and bought Mercedes, would you do that too? I mean,
hmm. Yeah, I don't think I would, but I went to one of those. It's also like was it like comparisons like the Thief of Joy and um I did go to a school where everyone's like doing banking consulting, but I don't think that's like my passion though. That's the thing. But
it's
yeah.
not my passions at all.
Mm,
I don't think consultants, they don't, they, they tell people what to do having never
mm.
done it.
Yes, that I don't like that either. But my friend was a consultant, and yeah. But anyway, it's yeah. That's not it's generally a good thing. But I think it's better. I guess the venture capitalist has entrepreneurial experience. That makes more sense. But you say most of
Yeah,
them don't.
well, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know there was so many career venture capitalists like if without having started the company. But anyway,
I mean,
um,
and that makes no sense. I mean, that may
hmm,
that would be like, oh, I want to be a brain surgeon, but I never operated on a brain. But
yeah.
I've been watching the operation room for like, 2 years. I'm ready to cut open your head.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess it's also like it's something completely. It's like reading about basketball versus playing it. It's completely different. Like I guess, yeah. Uh, would you recommend like moving to the US if I'm from England? Because England is not. I wouldn't say like it's very exciting. It's just random. I don't know what else that has, but yeah.
Uh, well, I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to do, right? I mean,
Hmm.
if you want to, I would make the case that if you want to make movies, you move to LA. If you want to start a tech company, you move to Silicon Valley. But I
Hmm.
will tell you that, yeah, there are many factors that cause the success of a tech company. And being in Silicon Valley is helpful, but it is not sufficient,
Hmm.
nor is it necessary. You can start a tech company almost any place that has good internet access.
Hmm.
And to think that you get on a plane, you land at SFO, and all of a sudden the streets are lined with gold, and you're going to be a successful tech entrepreneur. You're going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I hate to tell you, but if that were true, more people would be flying to San Francisco. I mean, it's helpful, but it is not necessary nor sufficient.
Hmm. So like, because one of the advice is like you should work for someone you want to be like, or like you should join a startup because you learn more than joining a corporate? Would you recommend any of those? Like, it's kind of hard to work for someone you want to be like, though, because how do you decide who you want to be like? But
Well, that's why you shouldn't
yeah,
work for a lot of people. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
you don't know. You just have to collect a lot of data. And
Mm.
I mean, you're talking to a guy who quit law school, went into the jewelry business, and ended up
Yeah,
in software, right? So
yeah.
you wouldn't exactly say, oh, guy, when you were 18, you had this plan and you said, okay, I'm going to end up in tech. And to end up in tech, I'm going to major in psychology. And then I'm
Mm,
going to go to law school for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to get an MBA in psychology. And then I'm going to go work for a jewelry manufacturing company. And all of that is so that I can work for Apple. That makes
mm,
no sense whatsoever. None
mm.
whatsoever.
So it's like that graph that it's like squiggly lines where you go up, but you don't know where to
I
go. Yeah.
I think to say that it's squiggly lines
Yeah.
would be overly positive.
Yeah. Yeah. S someone here asks what makes a company sufficient, but I don't get what they're asking you, but anyway.
What makes a
Um
company sufficient?
yeah, it's just someone in my live chat asking me that, but that's their question. But
What do you think they mean by sufficient?
I asked them, dude, I don't know. Maybe because I think you used the word sufficient before, and then I don't know what they're asking. Oh no, I guess what else did I ask? Like yeah, like how do you work for some do you recommend that advice? Because Gary said you should work for someone you want to become, but how do you even get access to someone you want to become though? Anyway.
Well, Emma, uh, let me translate what Gary's saying. Gary's
Yeah.
saying that in order to get true industry insight and expertise, you should work for a person in a position like
Mm.
you think you want. So
Ah.
if you want to be a podcaster, go work for a
Mm.
podcaster. If you want to
Mm.
be a CEO of a software company, go be the chief of staff of software company executive. Or if you want to be e-commerce, go to work for a executive at Amazon and learn what they truly do. Now, as you point out, yeah, everybody would love to have been the chief of staff of Jeff Bezos, right? But he only had one. And so you know
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
only, guess what, there's only 500 Fortune 500 CEOs. That means there's only 500 chief of staffs. That's a small pool. So I
Mm.
think the spirit is true, and it's a good idea. I think the numbers are very difficult, but I would
Mm.
say that, if you think you're interested in e-commerce, guess what? Go work for an e-commerce company. You don't
Mm.
have to be chief of staff to the CEO. Just go work for an e-commerce company. And you may think it's all like, oh, I just got to do A/B testing on my homepage, and then thousands of people are going to click on this, and then they're going to buy it, and it's so easy to fulfill, and there's hardly any returns, and there's no breakage, and nobody ever tries to beat the system. And then you're going to go work for Amazon. You're going to say, holy shit, I mean, like, our drivers are stealing from us, the packages are being stolen from the porches, people call us up saying, my Amazon account says it was delivered, it's not on my porch. Or I bought this camera for 10 grand, and I opened it, didn't work, I want to send it back. And you might learn that e-commerce ain't all it's cracked up to be. But you would not know that just by reading about it, right? You gotta go
Mm.
serve on the front line.
We gotta try it out. So do you have any job? I'm basically asking about jobs because I'm in that phase where I'm trying to find the right career, but um
Everybody's trying to find the right career.
yeah,
Everybody. The
everybody,
people who
yeah.
say they found the right career, yeah, I mean, they're like a very tiny minority. I mean, how many people do you know of any age that you say, are
Mm,
you in the right career? How many would say,
mm.
absolutely yes, I'm perfectly happy where I am?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's a high percentage.
Mm. Yeah, it must be a very
I'm 70
small
years old. I'm still searching for my perfect career.
so it's like a forever search. Because I feel like my
It
parents
is.
still haven't, yeah, yeah, I still haven't
The
found it,
search
but
is the
yeah.
reward.
Mm, yeah, that's interesting. So they're saying like before the question they're asking is like how do you make it survive, continuous growth, achieve the goals out for it? That's their question. I think they were asking maybe how do you make a company survive, but I guess profitability. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
I
you
yeah.
know, this sounds kind of an insult, but the way you make a company survive is you provide something people want and are willing to pay for. I mean, it's not
Mm,
rocket science. Now,
mm.
it's not rocket science to
Oh, yeah.
understand that's what you got to do, but it is rocket science and a lot of luck to actually do it.
Mm.
So it's like,
How do you
yeah,
spot opportunities then? Like, because Gary Vee is clearly very good at that, but I don't feel like I have that skill, or at least I'm not training on that skill to like spot. Because some people are good at spotting opportunities before
well,
it
okay,
happen.
I'll give you
Yeah.
several paths to that. And that I discuss in my book, Think Remarkable. So,
Mm,
one path is you make the product that you want to use, and then you hope that you're not a psychopath and you're the only person who wants to use it, right? So
mm,
Steve Wozniak made the Apple One because he wanted to use the Apple One. Luckily, there was more than one person who wanted to use the Apple One, and that's why
mm,
Apple is $1 trillion company today. So that's one path. Another path is you work backwards from the customer. So instead of doing what you like to do, you see what the customer needs, and then you do whatever the customer wants, not necessarily what you want, right? And so, I talked to an entrepreneur today, and he tells me that, oh, we want to be the best online ad marketplace for travelers. And to
mm,
do that, he has this tool to help travel, which is
mm,
very different from saying, this is very different from saying, I'm going to build what I want because I like doing this. You have to work the other way, which is I'm going to build what the customer wants, not what I want. So that's another theory.
mm,
Another theory is you actually go and see or go and be the customer. So you actually, you experience what these people are experiencing, and like, I don't know, to use a non-entrepreneurial example, if you were running a factory and the factory is just not producing stuff, you can either look at
mm,
the reports or you can go on the factory floor and watch how the factory is making stuff. That's going and seeing. But
mm,
going and being means that you actually work on the factory floor as a worker and you see what's going on. So you
mm.
can either, like, these are three big paths, and but the commonality of all these paths is that the best way to make a company successful is you alleviate pain. So you look for
Mm.
pain. Wherever there's pain, there's profits to be made.
Yeah, because someone said what was it, like you should try to solve your own problem, but then I have many problems, but like there's a lot of them I try to solve. Like I ask other people how to solve it. Like I clearly, and also, some people build software around it. I think it's gonna be quite hard to like build software by yourself. So I don't know if I can attempt that. Anyway.
But let me tell you something.
Hmm.
Everything is quite hard. So,
Hmm.
if you're looking for that thing where like it's going to be so obvious and it's going to be so easy and it's going to be so fast and so
Yeah.
lucrative, guess what? I hate
Yeah.
to tell you, that ain't how the world works. So,
Yeah. It
what,
doesn't
like,
exist because was
maybe
it
you should
like
go work for McKinsey and Goldman Sachs so you don't have to think about this and you just need to suck up to
hmm,
the partner.
yeah, but that's probably why because a lot of my classmates are doing that. They're like it was like a school where everyone's like a wannabe investment banker and they go into private equity. Do you recommend that software? Because I've never tried it, but I have an economics degree.
I don't,
But
you
also,
know,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
be the worst person in the world to talk about why you should be an investment banker or consultant. Literally, I'm
yeah,
the worst person.
uh,
So if all your
yeah.
friends are listening to this podcast, I think you should hang up right now.
No, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like they're not. I'm not because I graduated 7 years ago, so it's not like a recent phenomenon. I'm just like I just listen to like so much Gary Vee stuff, and he's like make content. But I made like content for like 4 years, and I have got like following on TikTok. It's still it's not it doesn't get easier. I think it gets more difficult because there's a lot of people making videos. Anyway, yeah, but
Yeah,
um
but I mean, you know what? But you can substitute almost anything for what you said, right? So,
mm,
Oh, I've been, I have a food truck for 4 years and nobody likes what I make. Or
Yeah.
I wrote software, nobody wants likes what I make.
Mm,
Or I
mm,
have been a painter and nobody buys my painting. And or
mm,
I play guitar, but nobody buys my recordings. And I mean,
mm.
I hate to tell you, that's just how the world works. So you can do it
Uh,
by trial and error, or but that if listen, if I could just tell you on a podcast exactly what to do and you make you
yeah.
rich, believe me, I
Yeah.
would charge you to be on your podcast.
Ah, I see. So there's no like, because also like a lot of the advice given on the internet is quite general. But like, do you think like specific advice given by a person where you talk to them is it's got to be better, right? Like, especially if that person knows you. But then there's not
Well,
many people that know you that well, I guess.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, even that's a complicated question, right? Because
Mm,
someone who knows you, that doesn't mean that they're smart about the industry, right?
mm,
Like if your mother truly knows you, you're going to ask her advice about how you should make video.
mm.
Good luck with
No,
that. Like,
yeah.
mom, what should I do for TikTok? What's TikTok, son?
Mm,
Okay, she
yeah.
knows you well. She doesn't know anything
Mm,
about TikTok. Now, on the
mm,
other hand, you could have some TikTok expert and ask them, but that person
mm,
doesn't know you
mm,
at all. So it's kind of
mm,
a combination. But what you should do is like Gary Vaynerchuk says, is like if you are interested in making video, then go work for someone who's successful at TikTok. And if you
mm,
want to start a restaurant, go work for a successful restaurant owner.
mm,
Um, not necessarily your mother or father unless they own the restaurant.
mm. Yeah. Because I guess the person who's best at it is Mr. Beast, but like Mr. Beast lives in the US. But anyway, um, hmm,
I give you one more piece of advice. Don't believe all the so-called experts on the internet, myself
hmm,
included. Okay.
hmm, yeah, yeah. Because I
Because
listened to Gary Vee for a long time, but now realize, well, I don't know Gary personally, but obviously no one's 100% correct, right? And it's also like quite general advice given to the public. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
um, it's quite general, and it's also, I mean, it's
hmm,
we're listen,
hmm,
you think of all the influencers, right? So
hmm,
if you came across a really successful influencers, like 30 million followers, makes 2 million a year on YouTube. Wait, I gotta sneeze.
hmm. It's fine.
That's why they have mute buttons. So let's say you meet this person at 30 million followers on YouTube, makes $2 million a year on YouTube, right? So if you wanted to be a YouTuber, then yeah, I say go listen to that person. But that person doesn't necessarily know how to give general career advice. That person just was successful on YouTube. That doesn't
Hmm,
mean that person can advise you how to be a programmer.
hmm, yeah,
I, it's it's really tricky because on the one hand, you should listen to what other people say. On the other hand, you should ignore what people say. And the
yeah,
hard part is figuring out, when to do which one.
yeah.
um,
It's figuring.
wait, I'm gonna
Let me
take a
close
picture of
my
this
computer's
because
lagging.
my wife is sending me messages about what she wants me to do right now. And I'm gonna send her this so she understands that I'm in the middle of a podcast.
Okay.
uh, so what else what
What else? Ask.
okay.
Yeah. Um. Well, I don't know what else to ask. Um. I guess. Yeah, because I don't know how
Well, I mean,
someone.
here, let me
Yeah.
summarize for you. So I think that, you have to collect a lot of data. You have to try a lot of things. You have to have a growth mindset. You
Mm,
need to chillax because, don't compare yourself with others who you think, oh my God, they went to Goldman Sachs and they're already almost a partner and they're making 5 times more
yeah.
than me. And, they're the
Yeah.
same age because
Yeah. That's
That's
exactly
not
how I
necessarily
picture
the path to happiness. And they're
yeah.
driving a BMW
Mm,
and I'm driving a Prius. Okay, so that you got to look beyond superficialities like that. So just
mm,
give yourself some time, do a lot of data sampling. When things interest you, pursue them until they no longer interest you.
mm,
And don't set yourself up for failure by thinking, oh, I got to find my quote passion. I got to find this thing that instantly I
mm,
fall in love with and I'm really great at it and I'm making a lot of money right away, because that's like a unicorn farting pixie dust. There's not too many
mm,
unicorns farting pixie dust in the real world. So
mm,
just chillax and maintain a growth mindset. You try a lot of things, but the flip side of a growth mindset you have to understand is grit.
mm,
So you got to pay the price. In the first third of your career, you're going to be
mm,
underpaid and overworked. In the second third
mm,
of your career, you're going to be overpaid and underworked. And the final
mm,
part of your life, you should pay it back.
mm.
That's how you should think about it. So you're
Yeah.
right now in the phase of you're underpaid and overworked. Get used to it,
Mm,
bro, because that's just how it works.
mm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was in your book, right? Because I heard that in your podcast. But anyway, but I guess you explained it. Yeah. Yeah.
All righty.
Um, huh? Yeah. Um, yeah, it's was like the icky guy because right now I like making content. I'm just not good at it, right? Like I'm not like the best at it, but it's just one of those things. Anyway, yeah.
Listen, you know
But
what? I mean, you take the world's greatest chef. Okay, I don't know who
mm,
that is, Bobby Flay or Andrew Zimmern or whoever's the world's greatest chef, Salt Bay, whoever that is. I bet you those people, they started washing dishes.
mm,
They didn't become the world's greatest chef in 6 months. You got to pay the
mm.
price. I'm telling you, you have to pay the price.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I don't know what else. Thank you for your time then. Like, is there
My
any?
pleasure. I
Okay,
hope I didn't scare too many people.
no, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, thank you for your time,
All
guy.
right, take care.
Have a good day.
Bye
Have a good day.
bye.
Bye bye
Bye
bye bye.
bye.